Today we are going to have a very short but informative discussion on the 3-day visit of Chinese Premier Xi Jinping to India. First, let's take a look at some of the highlights, very basic highlights of the major agreements that were signed between the two countries. Coming up on your screens now, China is to help India in establishing high-speed links and upgraded railway stations. China will help in setting up industrial parks of electrical items, electronics goods and plastic processing in Gujarat and Maharashtra. China will also give more market access to India to products including pharmaceuticals and farm products. It was a very critical visit. Everyone was there. I think the whole world was looking at this. Two Asian superpowers meeting very cordially, though there was some eyeball to eyeball happening at the border, but the visit of the two leaders were cordial, right?
Not really. I mean, the cordial visit ended yesterday before, and yesterday and today was not very cordial. This whole border issue came up, and
yes.
It's a very serious issue.
Very serious, yes.
Because India and China share the longest disputed border in the world.
Yeah.
And there are hundreds of disputes that happen. For example, apparently in the last year, we've had some 400 incursions. So it is the relationship between the two can be called everything else but cordial.
No, but it was paradoxical, don't you think? I mean, on one hand, Xi Jinping is shaking hands with Narendra Modi, and there is this dance program and other cultural events being organized for him, and on the other, at the line of actual control, there is an incursion. It's very paradoxical.
It is, and it's particularly so for our Prime Minister, who's been known to be rather aggressive on his border policy, yes, and so on. For him to suddenly be shaking hands and been dining with somebody who's not stopping border incursions even as he's talking,
right,
was a very difficult issue to handle. And that's the China strategy, and it is a very tough one to counter, because China's been doing that. You see, on the border issue, it's very important for those of you who are listening in also. It's very critical to see that China has been doing this for a while now, of occupying territories without going to war. It is a very clever strategy. So you'll find China engaging in talks, in trade, but getting in and occupying areas that, for example, in India, areas that 5 years ago were Indian territory, clear Indian territory, are now within the Chinese border. So that's a tough thing, and that's a difficult strategic
It's
issue.
A dangerous thing. I would use the word dangerous.
It is. Promise on railways is important.
Right.
What China saw was that a large order for bullet trains was slipping out of their hands and going to Japan. So it has jumped in and said, no, we have better bullet trains, we have bigger ones, we will help. What that help means? Well, it means that we will pay the Chinese and they'll come and make those trains. So it's not a question of help. It is that they are saying that with the Japanese, we are also competing for that same business.
Right.
It's a big business, because
of course,
each bullet train costs more than $2 billion. So they are more than willing to do that. It's up to us on whether we choose the Japanese, the Chinese or the French.
So what can we give them? They are giving us all this. What are we giving them?
Well, they are actually giving very little. What we are saying is that our big business. See, with China, what are the products that we can sell to them? The big sector which benefits if China buys from us is pharmaceuticals. So that's an important sector, and in that, if China indeed grants market access to our generics, then we will benefit greatly, because China is a big country, it has large health expenditures, and it will buy a good billion worth of pharma if that is open. We will also benefit if we do indeed get from China help with in electronics and radio parks and
the tech park,
industrial parks.
Right.
That's something that we will benefit.
Okay.
So it's really the market access issue. If that opens up, then it's good for us.